everybody, it's Angelo of Angelo's Workbench. Thanks for joining me in video number 2 of the Fujimi Enthusiast Porsche 911 series. Here you can see the Plasticoat primer that I use on the bodies. I like the Plasticoat primer because it doesn't craze or attack the plastic. The plastic stays nice and smooth, and it acts as a protective layer between the plastic and some of the hotter lacquers that I spray. I will go a quick light coat to get the body just wet with the primer, and then 2 medium coats, and then I move to color. Time now for the second coat. This coat will be slightly heavier. I would call it a medium coat. The spray can puts out a lot of paint fast, so you need to keep your hand moving very quickly. I can't recommend the Plasticoat primer enough. Even if you put it on a little too heavy, it always seems to smooth out and shrink up really nicely and responds very well to wet sanding. Primer now gets set aside, and while the primer's curing, we can work on mixing up the paint. So here we see everything we need to mix up our nail polish paint. I have a bottle of Sinful Colors Professional Nail Polish that I paid 49 cents for on sale. The color name is Rich in Heart. It is a metallic red, dark, deep metallic red. It's very, very nice. I like using the nail polish because the metal flake in the nail polish scales out to almost scale metal flake, quarter scale metal flake. If you were to have metal flake paint in scale, this is what it would look like, I think. And it looks beautiful under the light. So what I'm going to do is basically, I'm going to dump it into the glass jar, and then I'm going to use my Duplicolor lacquer thinner. I like the less expensive lacquer thinners, both because they're less expensive, but also because they contain less of the hotter, harsher ingredients that damage plastic and everything that we're working with here. It works well. It's a lacquer thinner. It mixes up very nicely, and it sprays beautiful. So what I'm basically doing now is refilling the nail polish bottle with lacquer thinner. So I'll end up with almost a 1-to-1 ratio, and then I'll shake it up in the nail polish bottle full of the thinner to get the remaining amount of nail polish out of the bottle so we get it all. And then I'll also add a small amount of lacquer thinner in to account for the space in the bottle. So at the end, I'll have a 1-to-1 ratio of paint to thinner, nail polish to thinner, and that works good for this manufacturer of nail polish. Keep in mind that sometimes they do vary. What you're going for is a consistency of milk, like with all of your airbrush mediums, so that they'll spray through the airbrush well. now that we have our nail polish mixed up into an airbrushable paint, I'm going to get started. My first coat, I like to make sure that I get all around the edges, the difficult, hard to reach places, and then I will give it a, I would call it a medium coat. The nail polish doesn't really respond well to a very light coat. It tends to build up and get clumpy on the body, and you tend to get these little bumps. If you give it a little bit of pullback on the airbrush, give it some spray, let it have a little bit, just keep your hand moving quickly. The nail polish responds very well to that. So I would call the initial coats a medium coat, and then the final coat a fairly heavy coat. And that's about it for the nail polish paint job. It's looking pretty good to me. Now it just needs to gas out for a day or so, and then I can seal it up with some lacquer clear coat that I will cover next time. Thanks again for tuning in to Angelo's Workbench. I appreciate you following along on the Fujimi Enthusiast project. Video number 3 will be coming soon.